Tuesday, the 12th of April, 2022. Yeah, I kind of thought of maybe putting on a fluff alert. You know what I mean? This video podcast, this audio podcast could be accused of being too much fluff, not enough stuff. Thought about it, but you can't really make that call and issue that alert and notice until you're complete with the audio. And there may be something in here we all can take something away from. That's my hope anyway. That's my honorable intention. Now, a fluff alert is not to be confused with a fluffy alert, aka also known as, no names people, we'll just call them BF, often heard at the bottom feeder pit, because usually a fluffy alert means, yep, you guessed it, Murray ain't far behind. Alright, so moving on. Now, I'm talking to a sub the other day at the bottom feeder pit. He happens to be a respectable businessman up in Botano. You know I'm not going to give you his name. Don't even ask. Don't even email me. But I can give you a couple of harmless identifying marks. He's a respected businessman, bar restaurant owner, and his business is located in close proximity to Highway 5. Let's just leave it at that. And he had mentioned to me that my podcasts are simply too much doom and gloom and no good news. And he mentioned a humorous incident that happened to him when he was outside and the sirens went off. You know the sirens. Yeah, those. It wasn't the first of the month. It wasn't the Wednesday. Nope. But anyway, I got to thinking about that and why that's applicable this morning. Is because when most of you were rolling out, or excuse me, rolling over, I was rolling out at 1:30 this morning. Yep. And one of the first things I checked, because, oh yeah, I heard the bad news too, people. I checked the Willow City, Botano County weather report. And was I greeted with a blizzard watch? Hell no. No, I get a full-fledged blizzard warning. Starts today, tapers off Friday. Heavy snow, 30 inches possible, winds gusting as high as 50 miles per hour. You know what that means, people? And plus the temperatures in the 20s and 30s. That means after several nice days in the 50s, after most of this nasty-ass snow has melted from one of the most brutal winters I can recall in my history. Yeah, we're going to get round two. It just won't quit. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Now look at news like that starting out your day could influence your productivity throughout the rest of the day. And you know me, I'm all about stuff. I got a lot of stuff to do, no doubt about that. But I'm getting a lot of stuff done. If I go walking around with a bad attitude, a negative attitude, it's going to reflect on my productivity and output. So I got to thinking what he told me. I said, well, maybe just once I can start out a podcast with some good news. And I think I'm onto something, but will it pan out to be good news in the end? Well, you're going to have to stay with me, people, because I'm just getting started. And here we go. Once the long winter's over, you're going to have to start dealing with the phenomena known as spring fever. And nobody's got it any greater than I do. We went out there and we were raking yards. I got the wood all cleaned up. You know, my property doesn't look like some welfare recipient lives there any longer. And I like gardening, especially since I have discovered the trick to gardening when you're old and fat is stay off the ground. It's hard to get down. It's even harder to get back up. And that miserable crawling on your hands and knees plucking weeds, thinning carrots, that's for the birds. Raised bed. Put them on cable spools, 5-gallon buckets and lick buckets. Yeah, everything will grow in them. You walk up to them, easy to water, easy to weed, easy to maintain. You see a weed, oh, there's one of them little bastards. Pluck, you're out of here. Pluck, you're out of here. Like I said, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So that's even going to make gardening more enjoyable. And I'm digging out my strawberry bed, and that's going into raised bed. Oh, man. And I will defeat the squirrels and the birds from beating me to the berries. Okay, so again, at the risk of sounding floppy, bear with me, people. Another thing, if you're not into gardening, and this is the year, people, even if you don't garden, you should try it. This is the year you really want to plant a garden. So let's say you're not into gardening, but you can still enjoy the great outdoors. And how is that? How about camping and hiking? What's wrong with that? You've got a wide array of national parks and state parks within easy driving distance. If you're really into the traveling mood, you can go down to the Grand Canyon. But here's the, well, see now, you think that's all healthy and wholesome? Well, have you paid attention to some of the news lately, people? Or not only just lately, over the past few years, there is an alarming number of people that go disappearing in national parks. And national parks, you'd never think it. I mean, we're not talking about walking onto the airbase, my Air Force Base. National parks have restricted areas. Now, heaven forbid, why is that? Well, it turns out we might have some military operatives working in a national park in Colorado as of very recently to look into where are all these people disappearing and what's going on. I don't have all the information. It's basically new news, topped on, yeah, I heard this before years ago, but things are getting creepy. They really are getting creepy, people. The takeaway here, if you want to go camping, hiking in the national park, stay away from the caves. Yeah, something's coming out of them caves, causing a lot of problem for the what do you call those guys? Not the game wardens, the rangers, park rangers up there in Yellowstone. They're having some serious problems with some serious evil stuff. Leave it at that. Oh, you need a second witness on that. Think of the giant of Kandahar. Let's think back to the Afghanistan, Iraq, U.S. involvements. Yeah, giant of Kandahar, caves people, special ops team, engage it. Took some casualties. I guess you got to kill these bastards with copper sabots, but they know they're good at it. And hey, Gilgamesh, Steve Quayle interviewed the pilot that blew him out of Iraq, and when they raided all the artifacts of Iraq, yeah, what did they get, people? They're not going to tell us. So apparently, there might be a dark side to the camping and hiking. Who'd have thunk it? Now, could there possibly be any dark side to gardening? I mean, heaven forbid. If gardening's not sacred anymore, then what have we got left? Why are we even walking around living? Well, yeah, I guess so. There's bad news in gardening, too. What's the first bad news? Gardens need sunshine, people. You see the problem right off the bat? Yeah. They're spraying, blotting out the sun. Now, if you're into tomatoes like I am, I love tomatoes. You can't make a BLT without a fresh garden tomato. Am I right? Yes, I'm right. Tomatoes need a hell of a lot of sunshine. Sustained direct sunshine, at least 8 hours a day. That's hard to get with stratospherical aerosol injection, is it not? Yeah, it's not. That milky white blanket of death does effectively blot out the sun. Next problem, water. Yeah, now we like to gather rainwater. We collect it. It's illegal in some parts of the country, but not here. Now, if it's not rainwater, you're going to have to rely on the community water supplies. Willow has rural water. I think it comes out of Rugby. Problem is, what's in the water? No, I'm not talking anything sinister. Not yet. But, is the water crapped up with stuff dissolved in it? Let's do a little brief Chemistry 101. Not for you educated subs, but every once in a while a room temp plus 7 comes across one of my podcasts. Water is considered a universal solvent. Why? Because more things dissolve in water than any other liquid, up to and including fuming nitric acid. It's a universal solvent. Okay, now when you measure water quality without doing elaborate, expensive testing on it, you do the simple TDS test, total dissolved solids. They're not telling you what those solids are that have been dissolved in the universal solvent water, but they're just saying a high number means your water is kind of already crapped up. Now, if you drink water with high TDS, you're asking your body filtration system, think kidneys, for example, to do the job you should have done yourself mechanically by drinking a better quality of water. And plants are no different. If you feed them crapped up water, they're going to uptake the crap, and we're going to eat it. Because you are what you eat, so they tell me all my life. Now, the point is, you only have one chance to get this right, people. Now, some of you have private wells, you lucky devils, but I sure hope at a minimum you've got access to your wells locked. And if you could afford it, maybe a security camera wouldn't be a bad deal, because like I said, you only have one chance to get it right. And we haven't even talked about terrorism and sabotage. Terrorisms don't have to be necessarily Muslims, people. Could be your own government agents. It's easy to go to a central point of water distribution and add something pretty evil. Just saying. They don't want us to have gardens. They apparently don't want us to have reliable food supplies. So you got to think outside the box. You got to think, hey, if I was an evil hair-class Schwab, what would I do to prevent people from growing their own food? You already see what they're doing to prevent us from raising our own chickens and our own eggs. Yeah, high count. It's just criminal what's happened to the bird population, edible birds, throughout the U.S. So, you could, if you don't want to burden your body filters like your kidneys. You guys ever heard of kidney stones? Ever heard of bladder stones? Yeah, it comes from drinking high TDS water, people. You could purify your water. Remove as much of the TDS as possible. Quality filters. The Berkey, for example. The Berkey company sells them, if you can afford them. RO units, reverse osmosis, another good way. The best is always distillation. Because sometimes RO units and filters just can't filter out what already has become soluble in water. You follow my point? That's it. There's your chemistry lesson for today. And I ask again, are plants any different? So, next up, air quality. Yep, what goes up must come down. In other words, what they spray will come down. Told you about the patents the other day. A lot of them are heavy metals. And based on basic chemistry, I'm not really concerned. Don't really give a shit about heavy metals. Why? One of the reasons they're known as heavy metals is they don't readily go into solution in water. Now, lead's a heavy metal. We've had wheel weights for years, people, balancing our tires. Driven through snow, you've driven through rain. Come on, is our water polluted because of lead? No, lead does not dissolve in water. In case inquiring minds want to know, if water is a universal solvent, what is the universal container? Why, plutonium dioxide, of course, already burnt to ceramic. A miserable compound to get into solution. Okay, so I'm not worried about the heavy metals. Nanoparticles that dissolve, people. That's a big one. What are they? Look at the patents, and you're not going to tell us everything. And how about this one? Smart dust. Smart dust that can transit the root system, and smart dust that can lay on the edible part of the plant we digest. Digestion, people, for you room temp, +7 IQers. That simply means what we eat and take into our bodies. And by the way, once you take it inside your body, how do you get it back out? Does it accumulate? Depends on the chemical we're talking about. So yeah, there is a risk. There's a risk to using your own private well waters. Definitely a risk to using commercial water supplies. Because terrorism, sabotage. Would I put it past our government to do any of the above? Hell no. Not no. F no. Of course they would. They mean to kill us, people. They mean to want us dead. And unfortunately, even something as simple as planting a garden and going camping and hiking could have its dark side. I tried real hard to come up with some good news today. Okay, here's a takeaway on the gardening. I'm going to take my chances with possible food issues versus death by starvation. If you don't want to believe me, that's fine. But when they tell you, we're going to kill you, we're going to kill a pile of you, and starvation is just one of a number of wonderful ways to eliminate the population, I take them serious. Okay, finally, and I'm running late. Oh no, this could be a long one. I can't do what TrueNews.com can do. They have a private, not subject to censorship, like YouTube. In fact, they were once on YouTube. They were booted from YouTube. True News, TRUNEWS.com. One word. Check out yesterday's presentation. You want another possibility for the I support the common thing, the Ukraine. Want a possible little more information on what's really going on over there that we may not have all the facts. And I told you yesterday, people, your government lies to you. They admit it. The media lies to you. They admit it. Take a look at True News. Or don't. That's your call. Unfortunately, nuclear war is not off the table. It just may not hit the Ukraine. But anyway, that's my suggestion to you. True News, TRUNEWS.com. Check it out. Holy smokes, 15-minute long podcast. You know what I'm going to tell you? Man, I got stuff to do. But I'll tell you what, I'm in a much better mood. Mindset's everything.